May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord. Amen. In Joshua, we hear the people being called into a completely foreign land, fraught with colonizing cultural concerns, mind you, but with encouragement to be strong and courageous all the same. Strength, courage, and wisdom have been required for our journey into this foreign territory of the global pandemic, where we have faced what the psalmist calls the terror of the night and the arrow that flies by day, the pestilence that stalks us, quite literally. We are at the 1-year mark of this novel coronavirus COVID-19 that has quite literally targeted the lungs and respiratory systems of humanity. We are quite vulnerable and susceptible to a wee little virus that has the capacity to take life and change our life if we survive it. For me, one of the most striking and memorable images of this pandemic is the rainbow. As the Queen invited us to look on the rainbow with hope, to draw it, to put it in our windows, to call to mind God's covenant with us. Rainbows still throughout our Ontario winter have been springing up brightly in unexpected places, drawn by children and the young at heart who are giving of their own hope to share with others. A friend of mine paints little rocks with the word hope on them and puts them out front for passers-by to pick up and see as needed, with the firm understanding that hope can be borrowed. When we need it, somebody else has some for us. A beautiful image. When this came upon us in late 2019, early 2020, people said quite naturally, what happened the last time we had a global pandemic? They looked back to 1918, called the Spanish flu, because Spain was neutral in the war and had an open press reporting on it. There wasn't much commentary, though, or insights or instructions to help us in 2020, because as some of the survivors were recorded to have said, we just want to put it behind us. This is less the case in 2020 and now in 2021, as there's been much reporting, writing, creative thought, and deep reflection. If, however, you are in the I just want to put it behind me mindset, be assured you are in good company. That is okay. My mind on this anniversary goes to the art, craft, and science of this pandemic experience. It's like a triangle continuum, sometimes in the art, sometimes in the science, sometimes in the craft, sometimes taking all three to understand the implications. The science of this experience is in the empirical evidence based on the principles and methods of scientific research and findings. Careful implementation by our churches of health and safety protocols as we realize it is our very breath that transmits the virus. It is breath that brings life, and it is breath that has brought death to so many. We deeply lament the loss of our beloved family and community members whose journey from this life to the next has gone unmarked in our traditional community ways. It is a strange anniversary to mark. It calls to mind Psalm 137, by the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, and there we wept, when we remembered Zion. So much has happened this year that is lamentable. Deep longing for former ways of being. The revelations in important and unforgettable ways of the brokenness of many of our social systems, how we treat siblings of color in Canada and the USA, a poverty of healthcare and accessible supports, mental health supports, including gross inequities revealed by the work-at-home policies, where essential workers cannot work from home and have been exposed daily to the virus. The list goes on. And yet, so does the yearning to continue to connect, to be at home in our world where we live, in this beautiful planet. And that brings out the craft, where we have adapted and learned how to be holy in this strange landscape. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? How do we connect as family, as a congregation of baptized and seeking, whose identity is found in serving our extended community, and yet it is strange all around us and dangerous? Who are we being called to be as we come through this pandemic, building bridges, restoring and reconciling our relationships with one another, with neighbors, with our global village? How do we craft networks of support and innovation, new life and mission, following Jesus' call to be on the margins, within the chaos and disorder and damage, bringing the power of God in Jesus Christ to rebuild something? And circling back up on that continuum to art, speaking to us and through us in many dimensions, in color, sound, texture, time, and space, with the irrepressible spirit of resilience, the building of new capacity together for living well in a post-pandemic world, reminding ourselves of God's loving and faithful commitment to us in our baptism. We are God's own. So get your vaccination. Let the rainbows catch your eye and inspire you. Let the words of Jesus speak to your soul. Come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. And vaya con Dios. Go with God this day and always. Amen.